Republicans, including Donald Trump, gathered for a truly unhinged conservative conference over the weekend where Trump claimed, among other things, that he was the most persecuted individual in American history after last week's bombshell hearing of the January 6th committee embarrassed him by airing never-before-seen outtakes of his speech from the day after the insurrection. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. If you want a sense of what the modern conservative movement is truly like, there's probably no better example than this clip from over the weekend of Texas Senator Ted Cruz walking on stage to, let's say, some slightly overzealous fanfare involving lights, dramatic music, and smoke machines. Yeah, wow. Talk about blowing smoke up someone's ass. There's never been a bigger gap between the drama of an entrance and the charisma of the person making the entrance. That was like if the lights went down and you heard Michael Buffer say, "Let's get ready to rumble!" And then the lights came up on like a spelling bee. And not a good one, not Scripps. I think after an entrance like that, you expect to see The Rock, not someone with the personality of a rock. Can you smell what Ted Cruz is cooking? It's an expired lean cuisine. I found it in the back of the freezer, just covered in ice, but I think it's probably still good, right? It would have been great if they gave him the same introduction, but instead he had to enter with his rolling suitcase like he was flying to Cancun. Also, why is this guy having so much fun? In the last 2 years, he's been caught leaving Texas during a statewide weather emergency and power outage. He was confronted by police at an airport in Montana after arguing with an employee. He slinked onto Tucker Carlson's show with his tail between his legs to grovel and beg for forgiveness because he committed the grave sin of calling January 6th a violent terrorist attack. And he helped foment that attack in the first place. If even one of those things happened to me, I'd never show my face in public again. But this bozo gets to whoop it up shamelessly with the pyrotechnics from an 8th grader's roller skate party. It's not fair. And unfortunately, that entrance was just the beginning. This is what the Republican Party is now. All empty spectacle, no substance. They're all just professional wrestlers and insult comics now, which I guess is what Cruz was going for in his speech when he tried out a crude joke for the crowd.
I talked to a student recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she's required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
Ted Cruz is less a person and more a bumper sticker with a beard. Of course, the real victim in that story isn't Ted Cruz. It's the student at the supposed woke university who probably stumbled across Cruz on campus with his head sticking out of the bushes. Hey, kid, they teaching any critical race theory in there? They burning the Seuss books? That right there, kiss my ass, that's the thesis statement for modern conservatism. They don't have any ideas, and they don't like any of anybody else's ideas, so they're left with just childish insult comedy and culture war obsessions. I don't even think the people in the crowd understood the joke, since it makes no sense. They just roared at Cruz saying the word ass. The same thing happens at Trump rallies all the time. The dude just rambles incoherently for an hour about windmills and B-list celebrities he met in the 80s, and there are long stretches where even his own audience is bored out of their minds. Sometimes the camera even cuts to the people in the crowd just standing there slack-jawed in silence. But then when Trump senses he's starting to lose the crowd, he'll say something naughty like, "And then I told that son of a bitch to go straight to hell," and the crowd will just roar like a bunch of middle schoolers quoting South Park lines to each other at recess. And then Cartman said, "Suck my balls." That is, of course, when Trump isn't whining incessantly about how he's being treated or repeating some weird lie an imaginary friend supposedly told him, which is what happened over the weekend at that same conservative conference. Trump repeated a line he had also used at one of his rallies last week, that he is the most persecuted person in American history.
A friend of mine recently said that I was the most persecuted person in the history of our country. And I said, that's a strong statement. But then I thought about it, and I felt, you know, he may very well be right. A friend of mine recently said that I was the most persecuted person in the history of our country. Me, the most persecuted. I never thought it that way. I never had time. I was always fighting with these people that were trying to persecute me. I didn't have time to think about being persecuted because I was fighting persecution. When I thought about it, though, I sat back. He's a very smart guy, successful. Sat back, I said, you know, he may very well be right.
I like the idea that this never occurred to Trump until a friend suggested it. This is where he gets all his ideas. You know, Donald, I was thinking your situation kind of reminds me of the Salem witch trials. It's almost like it's a hunt for witches, Donald. You know, like a witch hunt. Witch hunt, you say, that's pretty good, friend. Dear friend, I'm gonna tweet that with no context. First of all, I love he never names the friend. He's like, that's good, I'm gonna quote you on that. No, don't say my name. Nobody can know I'm your friend, dude. I also love the idea that Trump sat back and thought about it, you know, after he finished conjugating persecuted. Persecuted, persecution. They persecute, and I'm the persecutee. He just sat back and he thought about it, and he came to the conclusion that, yes, his friend was right. I'm sure he was just sitting in his study with a pipe and smoking jacket, surrounded by walls of books, comparing himself to other historical examples. Famous persecuted Americans, let's see. There's me, there's Rosa Parks, there's Reuben Hurricane Carter. I guess out of those three, it's gotta be me if it's those three. Although we do love hurricanes, don't we, folks? We love the boxer. In the clearing stands a boxer and a fighter by his trade. So true. And also, we love hurricanes. The actual storms, of course, when I say hurricane. All the water and the wind and the destruction. You know, sometimes I think to myself, I would love to be swept up in a hurricane and carried away from all these earthly concerns. The reality, the many horrors. The many horrors I've visited upon myself and the people around me, but I can't because I'm trapped here on this mortal coil. We love the coil, don't we, folks? I'm here on the mortal coil, where I'm buffeted by the vicissitudes of life and where I will inevitably face the grim consequences of all the destruction I have wrought. These guys know what I'm talking about. Personally, I think that maybe Trump is just especially wounded after the January 6th committee aired those embarrassing outtakes last week from his speech the day after the attempted coup, in addition to showing us what Trump was unwilling to say. For example, he didn't want to say that the election was over or that the rioters should face justice. They also showed us that maybe Trump's not like the best reader.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. And to those who broke the law, you will pay. You do not represent our movement. You do not represent our country. And if you broke the law, you can't say that. I'm not gonna, I already said you will pay. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of justice. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well. Okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. Let's go. But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay? I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. Yesterday is a hard word for me. Good. Take the word yesterday, because it doesn't work with heinous attack. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote.
Nailed it. Nailed it. I think you could take out yesterday because they'll remember it was yesterday because it was such a living nightmare. Really? The word yesterday is a hard word for you. It's 3 syllables. Maybe yesterday is difficult for him because he doesn't understand the concept. He literally has no memory of anything that happened more than 5 minutes ago. He's like a caveman who's not sure if the sun will come back out after it goes down at night. That's why he looks straight at it, you know, to make sure it's still there. I think my favorite part of that sequence of clips is this move he does when he screws up. He looks like he's surrounded by a swarm of invisible bees. Does he think he can literally fight off the word with his bare hands? Keep that 3-syllable word away from me or I'll have to karate chop it. In addition to being an active threat to democracy, the modern Republican Party is not a serious governing party. They don't have any discernible principles other than their open embrace of authoritarianism and their obsession with culture war nonsense. They remain in thrall to a dangerous demagogue who nearly overthrew American democracy and will absolutely try again if he gets the chance. They're all desperate to be seen as loyal to Trump, and in order to do that, Republicans know exactly what they have to do because Trump tells them what to do. His instructions are very clear. If you want my support, then you have to
kiss my ass.
This has been a closer look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, get vaccinated. We love you.